Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Stevens. I am the Director of Congregational Campaigns for Church World Service, and we're really glad that you're with us tonight. We're talking about the Church World Service Kit program in North Carolina. And we have a couple housekeeping things we want to take care of before we start the meeting. First thing is on the right side of your screen, there is a place for you to type questions. So if you can think of questions throughout the sessions, you can go ahead and put the questions over in the question box, and Roberta will be taking care of those questions later in the session. And we'll also have some time that you can even raise your hand later if you have a question you'd like to ask us. And we're also going to be recording this session. So just to let you know that we'll be recording this and we'll be sending it out at the end of maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure. We'll have to talk with Heather, but we're really glad that you're with us today. If you have participated with Church World Service Kits in the past, I want to let you know that our booklet was mailed, and I actually got my copy today in the mail. So hopefully you'll get yours. Check with your church, because if you listed it under your church, it most likely was mailed to the church and not to you. And we also have the new kit brochures, but David will talk about ways that he can get you some of these materials later. And so it's going to be really easy for us to get what you need. But we're super glad you're here. I want to introduce to you our North Carolina kit team we have with us today. And so we have Roberta Smith. She is our community engagement manager. She's been with us for quite a few years now. I'm not sure exactly how long, but we're really glad to have her with us. She's based in the Raleigh-Durham area. We also have Adam Meyers. He is our kit and blanket coordinator based in Durham. And so he does a little bit of the fundraising, and he also does the distribution of the kits, which he'll be talking about later. And then we have the Reverend Valerie, who is our Church World Service Kit ambassador in North Carolina. And David's a longtime volunteer for Church World Service, did the Crop Hunger Walk for quite a few years. And we're really glad he's been working with our kit program for 4 years, I believe, 4 or 5 years now. And he just does a super job. And so everyone's going to have a chance to talk about how they participate with the North Carolina KIT program. So once again, welcome. And Adam, I'm going to turn it over to you here.
Great. We first wanted to start off with a short video.
When I was a kid, I remember hearing about a wildfire or a hurricane or something, maybe once or twice a year. Today, we hear about it almost every day, whether they be wildfires in California and the Pacific Northwest, whether they be tornadoes and hurricanes coming up through the Gulf. This seems to be almost a daily event now. It's no longer just an emergency once or twice a year. So it's really important at Church World Service for us to be prepared for those emergencies. Kits are one piece of that, especially on the domestic side. But it's really important that we let churches know, we let individuals know that we're responding, we're doing our best to help those most in need in the aftermath of these disasters, and that we want to continue that. And so we need your support to continue that great work.
People are often in a condition where you've lost everything. And in those conditions, you can just imagine something as simple as having the supplies to be able to brush your kids' teeth that night, or be able to wrap them in a blanket, or being able to help them with some school supplies, and just having the dignity items that are provided by being able to take care of your hygiene. And then beyond that, for people who are then trying to recover, being able to have the supplies at hand. The cleanup buckets are one of the more expensive items. To be able to source that yourself after you've just gone through a disaster would be expensive. So that helps give them a head start on being able to reclaim their lives.
We can never have too many hygiene kits, too many cleanup buckets, and too many school kits.
So as you can kind of see, it's integral to what we do to be able to have access to items that are provided by so many volunteers that build these out for us, and we're so grateful for that work. I wanted to share with you a little bit of the impact that individuals and families and congregations and businesses have had who've helped donate to the KIT program during this past year. So during 2022, we were able to distribute over 191,000 kits. And the vast majority of our kits outreach goes to the United States. In the past, CWS did a lot abroad. We've kind of substituted that in favor of delivering items for domestically and being able to help locally supply items abroad when needed. In 2021, we were also able to distribute over 5,000 items just in North Carolina alone. And we've had a history of some great collaborations with groups in North Carolina, both for building the kits and to be able to distribute them after disaster. After Hurricane Florence, we collaborated with local groups to be able to distribute over 50,000 kits and blankets in North Carolina alone, including over 18,000 cleanup buckets. And again, these types of major responses rely heavily on the people who build those kits and the hard work of local organizations that collaborate on the response after a disaster. And so during this last year, we were able to send these kits out to 21 different states. And you can kind of see that while it's spread nationwide, a lot of our focus ends up being in those Gulf states that are more heavily impacted by storms and by refugee crises as they occur.
Adam, can you blow that up so we can see it? It's really tiny on our screen. Is there any way you could do full screen on that?
If there's a way to do that, I don't know what that is.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, we're all.
I apologize for that.
No problem.
And so then that means this is probably difficult to see too, but I'll tell you a little bit about it. So this is kind of showing the types of responses that we've had. So you saw that where they went, but this is kind of how they end up going out. And as we know, the world keeps changing and different crises emerge every day. And in the news alone today, we've seen the surging polar vortex, giving some unusually cold weather across the United States, and a possible refugee crisis emerging as the possibility of war begins in Eastern Europe. But so during this past year in 2021, almost half of our response was for refugee support. And the rest of it was spread across different disaster responses and homelessness outreach and ministries, with the largest storm response during 2021 being to Hurricane Ida. And some of those items even went to North Carolina nonprofits who helped assist with recovery to groups that were affected by those storms. And just on a personal note, I just want to share that while the numbers help depict some of that impact, they don't really give the whole picture. Well, I've had the great opportunity to be able to participate on both ends, both being able to be present with groups who are building the kits, as well as being alongside some of the people who are distributing them. And you can see as people are building the kits that they have the opportunity to express their love and support in a way that's meaningful. If we were trying to be hands-off, we could just solicit cash donations and buy it all and send it and have it not really touch anybody's hands. But I've seen on the other end of that as well, that when people receive those items and it brings them a little bit of hope and dignity in a very difficult situation, that they can know that those were items that were prepared by hand by people who were thinking about them, in many cases praying over them, and it's very impactful and emotional to the people who receive them. But we wanted to give some time here to share some of those actual stories. So David Mallory is going to share some of the impact on a group that helped deliver and create some of those kits, or create some of the kits rather. And then I'm hoping we'll have someone here to be able to share some of the impact of when those kits were delivered.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the report on the impact and the number of kits that have been distributed over the past year, and to see the scope of that and to realize the impact it's made, I think is very impressive. But I also wanted to recognize that Church World Service is a partnership organization. I've always said that Church World Service cannot be Church World Service without church, and so it has to start with the local congregation. And so we've partnered with congregations all over North Carolina for years now who provide these kits so that when the disaster comes, we're able to respond to those in appropriate ways to provide hope for those people. One of those churches that's been a very, very loyal supporter of our hygiene kit program is the North Raleigh Presbyterian Church. Janet Livengood is their children's coordinator there. And over the last several years, they have a Wednesday night program for their children. And once a year, every Wednesday night, they will pack hygiene kits. And I've been out there several times to be a part of that. And it is just it's a party. It's literally a party. The kids love it. They have a great time. They learn what it means to serve others. We talk about where those kits will go and the impact that they make. And the kids really take ownership in that. And so I'd ask Janet to share a little bit about why hygiene kits are important to them. So I just want to read to you what she wrote. For several years, North Raleigh Presbyterian Church has provided hygiene kits for Church World Service disaster assistance. These kits are a special outreach opportunity for many reasons. Number one, it is very easy and economical to get all the materials. Church World Service website gives a very specific list. Number two, it takes practically no time to put the kits together and they can be delivered to a location nearby. And finally, number three, of greatest significance to us at North Raleigh Presbyterian Church is that this is a project that our youngest members can do and understand its importance, because everyone needs a toothbrush. Everyone needs soap. Everyone needs a comb. Collating these kits is an excellent way to help children understand what it means to be affected by a disaster, that you might lose everything, including your toothbrush. Supporting Church World Service disaster kits is a win for everybody. It is an easily affordable, hands-on outreach experience for all ages, and yet its impact, providing much needed items for victims of disasters, is very great. What a blessing to hear from a church who's been part of the program and seeing the impact that it makes on their youngest of their congregation. This is a program that any church can do, any age can do it. And people get excited about being in ministry together. It's a wonderful activity for children, for the elderly, for anybody in the congregation, and you really know that you're making an impact on other lives. All right, I want to turn it back to see, do we have someone then, Adam, from the Episcopal Farm Workers Ministry we're going to share with us?
I'm not Adam, but it does not look like he is here for us right now.
Okay, very good. Well, we were trying to get someone from an agency that's received these kits. We have a number of agencies around, partner agencies that we've worked with. I guess I can technically share a little bit because back when Hurricane Florence hit North Carolina many years ago, the Disciples of Christ churches in North Carolina became an outlet for buckets. And we requested buckets from Church World Service and had a great number shipped along the coast. And the Christian Church Disciples of Christ distributed those through our regional camp program down in Arapahoe, North Carolina. So in a sense, we were part of that recipients too as the church. And it was a real blessing to be able to provide that ray of hope for people who were devastated by a disaster such as a hurricane. So I want to talk just a little bit now about how the KIT program works and why it's important. I want to share with you a little bit about how I got involved with the KIT ministry. In 2006, I went with a mission team to Moss Point, Mississippi. We were there responding to the damage done by Hurricane Katrina. And we had a group there that went to several homes, and we would clean up debris. We were repairing sheetrock. We were replacing roofs, and we were handing out Church World Service hygiene kits. Now, this was my first exposure to Church World Service hygiene kits on the ground. I had packed them before, but I'd never actually distributed them and put them in the hands of people that needed them. And I saw how people, just a sparkle of sunshine came to them just by receiving that hygiene kit. And it provided them just a ray of hope in the midst of all of the darkness that they were facing. And right then I knew that I was sold on the program. Since then, I have handed out school kits in Wilmington, North Carolina. I've handed out cleanup buckets in New Bern, North Carolina. I've handed out hygiene kits in Durham, North Carolina. And each time that I'm a part of this, I've seen how these bags truly offer hope to others. In 2018, I became the Church World Service Kit Ambassador for North Carolina. And every spring, we do this kit initiative where we promote and collect the kits for distribution in the next year. Right now, we're in the midst of that 2022 kit initiative. Now, you as a congregation can respond with 4 different kits. Number 1, we have the hygiene kit. These are personal hygiene products. It's an easy kit to assemble. It's the least expensive of the kits that we have. I always say it's a low investment, low commitment with a high impact. Number 2 is the school kits. School kits are very important. When Hurricane Florence hit, we had a school down in Wilmington that was utterly destroyed and lost all of their products to help with the kids. And so we delivered about 350 school kits to them, and the principal literally wept to be able to have pencils and paper and notebooks for the children to be able to try to gain some sense of order in the midst of the chaos. So school kits are a wonderful program to be a part of. Cleanup buckets are vital. Cleanup buckets are 5-gallon buckets that are filled with cleaning supplies like brushes and trash bags and gloves and cleaning supplies. They are absolutely vital. After a flood, after a major storm, they can really be a wonderful tool. They're a little more involved, a little more expensive, but they're incredibly helpful after a storm. The 4th kit is a new product we have this year called the Welcome Backpacks. This is in response to the influx of refugees that we've seen over the last couple of years, and it gives them some of the basics. Because if you think about it, these are people who have come with almost literally nothing. And so to just have a blanket, to just have some snack bars, to just have some basic products to kind of get them to start their life over, it's invaluable. Now, the Welcome Backpacks are relatively expensive to pack, and they're pretty involved, but they are severely needed at this time. Now, if you want more information about each of these kits and want to know what goes in them, you can look at our website, CWSKits.org. That's CWSKITS.org. And if you'll click on the icon that says Assemble Kits, it will list each one of those kits and all of the ingredients that go in them. Also, part of this initiative is, in order to save on shipping, we have established some depots in North Carolina where the kits can be delivered so that we don't incur the cost of shipping them back to our national warehouse. We have 3 depots locally. We have a depot at the United Church of Chapel Hill in Chapel Hill. We have a depot at the Hillier Memorial Christian Church in Raleigh. And we have a depot at Oak Ridge Presbyterian Church in Oak Ridge, North Carolina, just north of Winston-Salem. Now, each of these depots will be open to receive kits between June the 1st and June the 11th. So it's time now to start packing kits, to start planning packing parties, to get ready so that you can deliver the kits to the depots when they open June the 1st. This is a wonderful program that any size church can do. It's also a wonderful program to do intergenerational things. A child and a senior citizen can sit across the table and put combs in a Ziploc bag, and it makes a wonderful forum for conversation. So if you have questions or if you need help in any way, we are going to be providing our contact information later. As the North Carolina Kit Ambassador, I will be your first point of contact. So please feel free to email me. If you need a program in your congregation, you'd like me to come out and do a program for your congregation or for a small group of your congregation, I'd be happy to do that. So we're excited about the program. We're excited that you're here today and that you have an interest in the Church World Service Kit Ministry. And we look forward to working with you as a partner organization, because we are not Church World Service without church. Thank you. Do I need to turn it? I saw Cole come on. Do I need to turn it back to Cole, I believe?
Hi, good evening. Thank you, David. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you so much. This is my first time using the webinar software. So thank you for bearing with me, and excuse me, I came on a little bit late. I did hear about the 4 types of kits that David was describing, and I represent the Episcopal Farm Worker Ministry, and we've been the recipient of 3 of those kits. And I wanted to thank you guys so much because they really made a huge difference. Let me tell you a little bit about who we are and who received this stuff. So we're an organization who's been around for about 40 years, and we represent immigrants, families, farm workers, people in the agricultural industry and surrounding industries out here in East North Carolina. We respond to the physical, spiritual needs of folks, and we support opportunities for them to become self-directed. We help them help themselves. So we've got lots of different programs. We have all types of mental health services. These are all culturally relevant. We do things in Spanish or whatever language people need, try to meet them where they're at. We have Sunday services. We used to do outreach to farm worker camps when people come on agricultural visas to do farm work during the summer. And throughout the year, they often stay in like isolated camps out, like, in the middle of a potato field, in the middle of, huge agricultural areas where we go to visit them, but there's often not a lot of stuff around. So we'll go visit them, and we'll bring some of these kits. For example, the hygiene kits that y'all provided us are so similar to what we ask our congregation and our supporters for, that we were able to just take those and bring them straight to farm workers. Along with the kits, this helps them directly, but it also gives us the opportunity to talk to folks, see how everybody's doing, make referrals to other agencies, make sure everybody's doing okay, everybody's healthy, happy, being treated okay. And so we really appreciate the support with the hygiene kits. They're very much needed. In the event of natural disasters, it also helps that people have what they need. With the disaster of the COVID pandemic, it helps people to have these items because they don't need to go out if they test positive. And in their living conditions, if somebody tests positive, a lot of people are going to be quarantined. So it really helps them to not have to go out to Walmart and expose themselves and others while they're in quarantine. We were also the recipients of the school kits and the buckets, which we gave away during some of our events, which we hold on site. During the pandemic, we switched over some of our programming. For example, we have every 2 weeks, we have a large food drive. We switched that over to basically like a drive-through kind of situation. And we've adapted the drive-through model for our back to school event, our COVID vaccinations, and our Christmas event. So we've gotten pretty good at that. We usually count on serving at least 250 families per event. During our Christmas event, we actually served about 1,000 individuals. So basically we have little stations, and the Church World Services items were one station during our back to school event. All of our staff members dressed up like the popular Latin American television show El Chavo de Ocho. So we all dressed up like adults who were pretending to be kids. Everybody knew the characters, and we had a lot of fun. They received the school kits and also the emergency buckets during that event. So along with the items, especially the buckets, we also give information. We sign people up for our text alerts. So in the event of an emergency, they'll know what to do. We provide other information from other agencies, and we just increase our presence in our network so that when disaster does hit, people have the supplies, but also the knowledge to move forward in the safe families, protect their families, and support their community. The welcome backpacks sound amazing. I encourage y'all to, that sounds like a really great idea. We work with refugees, and we work with people fleeing natural disasters, state violence, all kinds of stuff. So I'd really encourage you guys, if you have time, to look us up online. We're the Episcopal Farm Worker Ministry, and just see the see where some of this stuff is going. We really appreciate it, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to y'all. If I haven't gone over my time, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. But for now, I'll give the mic back to David or Adam. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to everybody who's not present with us now, but who might be listening to this in the future.
Thank you, Cole. We appreciate you sharing that. I believe we need to turn it to Roberta next. Roberta, you there and ready?
I'm here. Hi. Thank you so much, Cole, for joining us tonight and for everyone who's had a chance to share. You heard at the top of the program, Adam shared with us that last year there were more than 190,000 kits that were collected for the CWS Kits program. That's awesome, amazing. We also heard in the video from that Rick shared is that these emergencies, these natural disasters are happening more frequently than they did before. We're having way more than 1 or 2 a year, which means that the needs are so much greater now than they ever have been before. And if you've lived in North Carolina for any period of time, you've probably more than likely lived through a hurricane. Hurricane Fran, Florence, Hugo. We had some really big storms that truly devastated families. And oftentimes when I think about the CWS Kits program, I'm reminded of a comment that someone made, I believe it was Maya Angelou, who shared that no one is more human than the next person. None of us is more human than the next person. We might be taller, shorter, darker, lighter, but we're all human. And so when these disasters occur, we at CWS want to treat each person with dignity. And so that's what these kits mean. These kits mean that we have the opportunity to share with folks whose lives have been upended through no fault of their own. In many cases, these families find themselves homeless. And these are folks who may never have experienced life in a shelter before. So they find themselves in a situation that's so foreign to them, and they're having to struggle to respond to questions from their children. Mom, Dad, why do we have to live here? And so I can't stress enough about how important the CWS Kits program is in the lives of families who have been devastated. David talked a little bit about our 4 options. The hygiene kits and the school kits are rather inexpensive, very easy kits to put together. And our welcome backpacks that I'm really excited about are helping to make our new friends who are coming from foreign lands feel welcome, feel like they have a home, they have a new home in the US. And so that really is exciting. And these cleanup buckets, when families' lives have been upended and they've had to live in a shelter for a while, they receive a cleanup bucket and they're able to go back to their homes and begin that process of rebuilding their lives. And so I certainly encourage you to think about how your faith group can get involved in the CWS Kits program. So whether it's collecting school kits or hygiene kits or cleanup buckets or welcome backpacks, we need your support. We need you to get involved. You are not just preparing a kit and sharing it with CWS, but you're offering healing and hope to people who in that moment are feeling so incredibly hopeless. And so I urge you today, based on what you've heard from Cole and from David and from Adam, I hope that you will partner with us, contact us, and let us know how you want to be involved. You can collect kits in person, or you could host a virtual kit collection and make donations on our website. So there are a number of ways to get involved, and we hope that you'll join us in this incredibly important ministry that is surely helping to transform the lives of our brothers and sisters all across North Carolina and across the US. So thanks for joining us tonight, and we look forward to hearing from you. We look forward to you getting involved in this ministry. So right now we'll pause and take a few questions. So based on what you've heard tonight, if you have any questions, you may raise your hand, or you may just type your question in the chat, and we want to be able to respond to any questions that you have. So I'll stop here and say thank you to you for joining us, and also ask if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions right now. You're welcome, Cole. He says, thank you, Ms. Heather, Adam, and David at CWS. Thank you, Cole, for the work that you do to support migrant families. Okay, so if there are no questions, we certainly, we are recording this session tonight, and you'll be receiving a recording of the session. So if you have any questions after you've listened to the presentations again, please reach out to one of us. We're here to support you and answer your questions and assist you in whichever way we can. So thanks for joining us, and I'm going to stop here and ask if Matt, if you have any last minute comments, or David, if you have any last minute comments before we wrap up.
I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to be with us. Like what David said earlier, he is your first contact in North Carolina. There should be a handout on the side. We'll make sure that when we send out the recording that everyone has access to his contact information, and he would be able to get you this information. So if you want these new kit brochures, the new kit booklet, we're happy to get that out to you. We're so excited to have you be a part of our program here at Church World Service. So David, do you have any last words? A blessing, anyone?
Well, I just appreciate everybody joining us. And again, I'm happy to work with you in any way. We want to make sure that we can, particularly those congregations that may not have been a part of this program before, we want to make sure it's easy for you. We make sure it's comfortable for you, but we also want to recognize that this is an important ministry and you're doing valuable work. And I appreciate Roberta's comments that we are making a difference. We're providing hope for people. So we invite you to be a part of it and to join with us, and let us know any way we might help in that way.
Well, thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Enjoy your 70-degree weather in North Carolina.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.